Welcome to another episode of the Wealth Building Strategies Podcast. I'm your host, Jeremy Constantino, and today I am super excited to have on a legend on this guest, Yonah Weiss. Welcome, Yonah.
Thank you, Jeremy. Pleasure to be here.
For those of you who don't know Yonah, he's commonly known as the cost segregation king. He has saved over hundreds of millions of dollars in taxes for property owners and investors across the country. He's the host of the Weiss Advice Podcast. How many episodes have you done? A couple hundred episodes already?
We're up to today about 276, I think.
Yeah, just a couple. And I'm looking here on LinkedIn, over 20,000 followers on LinkedIn. So it's an honor that you've come to be on my show. We're just starting out. I think you're my 16th guest. But we haven't had anybody talking about taxes yet. And so there's so many benefits of investing in real estate, and the cash flow, the appreciation. You can invest your IRAs, self-directed IRAs. Real estate's predictable, but one thing we haven't talked about yet is the tax benefits. So great timing to have you on as a guest, Yonah. And let's explain to the listeners the other benefit of real estate investing, and that's tax savings.
Absolutely, Jerry. No, it's a pleasure. There are so many, like you said, appreciation, equity, so many things, tax benefits. When they talk about tax benefits for real estate, typically one of the main tax benefits is depreciation. And it is this tax deduction that you're allowed to take when you buy or invest in any real estate, whether it's a rental or business or investment property. And essentially what depreciation is that the IRS says you can now deduct the full amount of your property. Essentially, you buy property for $1 million, you can write off that full $1 million. Actually, you have to take off a certain amount for the land, which does not depreciate, but that full $1 million, right? Basically 900, 800,000, whatever's left, you can take as a tax write-off. You can't do it all upfront at once, right? That's the problem. But that's where we come in. Cost segregation is a method that allows you to accelerate those depreciation deductions. So typically depreciation will be spread out equally over a 27.5 or 39-year period, taking a little bit each year, which is still great. And again, any rental property, especially if it's like a long-term rental, that depreciation deduction is probably going to wipe out most of your cash flow, most of your net income, which means you're probably not going to be paying a lot, if any, income tax from your investment properties, which is incredible. However, when you get into commercial real estate, or you get into larger deals where the cash flow is much higher, you are going to be subject to, obviously, a lot higher amount of income, and the depreciation is usually not going to cover that full amount of income. So where cost segregation comes in is that we're able to break out the property into its individual components, and certain components actually depreciate faster over a 5-year or 7 or 15-year period. What that does is it doubles or triples your depreciation deduction over the first several years of the owner of the investment periods, which is essentially, it's a cash flow tool, a strategy that just allows you to, reduce your taxable income by a significant amount.
Wow. So I guess explain kind of what are some of those different pieces.
So anything that's non-structural, okay? So the structure of the building is the only thing that is going to depreciate over that 27.5 or 39-year period. So that can include the roof, the walls, foundation, doors, windows, electric and plumbing infrastructure. But everything else would be on a 5-year schedule, things like furniture or fixtures, appliances, even stuff like cabinets or countertops, flooring, vinyl flooring or carpeting, window treatments, millwork, even stuff that's, connected and attached, but the IRS deems it that it depreciates on a 5-year schedule. And so what we're able to do now is identify what those components are, assign a value to them, and then be able to take the value of those components as over a 5-year deduction period instead of, lumping it all together, just taking it equally. What that translates to is, oftentimes in multifamily property, for example, will be about 20 to 30% of your purchase price that you can take as these faster deductions over a 5-year period. So again, it's just a huge amount you're taking up front.
Wow. Okay. So as a real estate investor, when should we contact a cost segregation expert? Is that during we get under contract, or even before getting under contract, or after we buy the property?
The best time to get it done, to do the full conservation study, is really when you need it best, right? When you need it most. When not everyone needs to get those deductions in the first year, but if you do, there's really no reason to wait. And a lot of people like to reach out during the due diligence period, once you have something under contract, to at least get what we call a feasibility analysis, a free estimate that can show you ahead of time what the potential tax savings are going to be. Once you do close on the property, that's the ideal time to get it done. It doesn't need to be completed until you file your taxes for that respective tax year. So right now we're in September of 22. You can still do this up until whenever you're going to file your taxes for 2022. So if you're on extension, that means this time next year, you can really still get the cost segregation done.
So what investors are most likely to gain from these tax deductions? I guess what circumstances of an investor, I guess, is it based on their gains in a year?
That's exactly right. So it's on a year-by-year basis. Getting these tax deductions, the way that real estate income is treated differently than ordinary or W-2 income. Okay, so rental income or real estate income is left on your Schedule E on your income taxes, which means it's called passive income. And that can be lumped together with royalties or other types of passive business investments, not like stocks or anything like that, but passive business investments can all be lumped together on that. How that's treated, though, is that depreciation deduction, these deductions we're getting with cost segregation, can only be used to offset your rental income or your investment or Schedule E income, which is extremely beneficial, because if you're investing, even if you're investing passively in a real estate property, all of the income essentially is going to be tax-free, because you're going to have more deductions than you will have income. And if you have extra deductions, you'll either, you just carry them forward. You don't lose them. They kind of sit there on your tax return as a negative number that can be used next year or any future year.
Excellent. Understood. So what advice do you have for investors that maybe don't have the passive income coming in for that 1 year? Is there anything that they need to be looking out for?
Yeah. So, I mean, the great thing about, there's something called a real estate professional in the tax code. And this real estate professional is really, really important thing, because it essentially makes a difference between someone who is involved in the real estate business, meaning if you're a broker or you're managing properties or you're in construction, you now have this kind of golden ticket that says these depreciation deductions that we said are passive deductions and can only be used against your rental income. Well, that's not necessarily true anymore. Now you're not limited to that. And so if you do invest in a property and do a cost segregation study and get this huge amount of deductions, you can now spill that over to offset your ordinary or W-2 income, or, 1099, whatever it is, whatever the source of your income is. And that's where the real money is being made, or being saved, I should say, because if you're not a real estate professional, then the depreciation is great. It's going to help you with your real estate investments and to make sure that they're, getting income from that and not being taxed on that. However, if you're not a real estate professional, you're going to be limited. But if you are a real estate professional, now you can actually use that to offset any of your income. If you're a broker, for example, to reduce your taxable income from any sales or anything like that.
That's fantastic. So how did you, to back up a little bit and talk about maybe your story, I guess, how did you get into real estate, and what's your background?
My background is actually in teaching. I was a teacher for many years. And that's something that's really my passion until this day. I have 6 kids, so I'm always teaching, at home and at work. But about 7 years ago, I was kind of looking for something else to do besides teaching. Obviously have another source of income, have a bunch of kids, you need a little more money, right? And real estate came up in conversation with a lot of friends and people that I knew. And so I just kind of got my feet wet trying to learn about real estate, did a little, dabbling in the brokerage space for a little while, and did some commercial mortgages for a little bit, and then did a few fix and flips with a friend of mine as a partner. And then I found this, amazing company, or they found me really, Madison SPECS, Madison Commercial Real Estate Services, the company I work for now for the past 5 years. And I just love it. I just enjoy the ability to network in the multifamily space. It has also opened up, tremendous amount of opportunities for me to invest in real estate, because I'm so connected throughout the entire country in every market there is in every asset class. And so I'm able to see like, what are the types of deals that are really doing the best, doing well? Who are the sponsors? Who are the people that are, doing great? And I'm able to, invest passively, that I've done a lot, and also, raise money and invest actively, other deals as well.
Yeah, that's something that your name is gone out there, and you have a reputation, and people know you, and so it's serving both. You're able to help. You're able to help the sponsors. You're able to help the investors. But then on the flip side, you're getting to see good deals, and you're able to invest as well.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. It's good. It's a good space to be in.
Well, I've noticed that. So we just recently started this podcast as well, and so I think you're the 15th or 16th interview that we've had, and um, obviously our main intent for the podcast is educating our listeners. Right. But on the flip side, I'm getting educated as well. But even more importantly, that I'm networking, I'm getting to know the other sponsors, and the same thing in my back of my mind is like, oh, that's something I want to invest. So it's making me go back to my funds, my 401, my IRA, my self-directed IRA. Is like, okay, let me move these funds around, and I can invest with this person, this person, this person.
That's right. No,
because I can't invest myself on my own on my self-directed IRA. But I'm like, yeah, I could start moving some of my IRA funds around with the people I'm networking.
That's exactly right. That's the amazing thing about building a network and having amazing people that you can learn from.
Yeah, and so yeah. So I guess go back to cost segregation and taxes. What other advice? What other advice do you have? Wise advice, just like your podcast. What other wise advice do you have for? I guess some of the audience listening to this are real estate brokers and realtors that are just now starting to get in. I'm encouraging them to get into investing instead of just brokering out deals. I guess what other advice do you have for them regarding taxes? Anything like that?
So, I mean, just like I was talking about before, this real estate professional status, it's a real thing and it's an incredible thing. Being a broker, you're automatically a real estate professional.
Yeah.
So all you need to do to take advantage of the tax benefits is invest in real estate and, own your own properties or invest in other people's deals. And by doing that, you're able to take advantage of these tax deductions that otherwise, I mean, if you're making a lot of money, hopefully you're going to be taxed at the highest rate possible. Yep. To be able to get enough tax deductions to actually reduce that income as much as you can, it's a no-brainer. So make sure that, okay, either you're investing in buying your own properties, whether it's single families or it doesn't matter what, but make sure that if you do invest in deals that the sponsors are doing a cost segregation study so that you'll be able to get your portion of that depreciation to reduce your income tax.
Excellent. I think we nailed the nail on the head in this interview. Just get this cost segregation study done. If you're a realtor, start investing. Utilize that tax code of being a real estate professional to your advantage, and just do it. Just start investing. So now I've been a real estate broker owner now for 3 years now, and we have about 350 agents across the country that are in our offices. And out of those 350, I mean, maybe 1 or 2 is investing into real estate.
Oh, hopefully you're going to change the game.
I know. That's what I'm trying to do. That's the point of this podcast, and bring on people like you to encourage them and really help them make money. And but yeah, so I guess, so where can the listeners get in contact with Yonah?
You can find me at YonahWeiss.com, or you can find me on basically all the socials. I'm most active on LinkedIn, as Jerry mentioned before, over 20,000 followers. But it's really more than followers. It's very interactive. Like if you're connected with me, not just following, that's the weird thing about LinkedIn, is that you can either connect or follow or both. Make sure to hit the connection button, because that allows you to actually have messages and conversations. And that's what I really like.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Yonah. I know you're really busy. You're an awesome networker and you got a lot, but listeners out there, you can do cost segregation study, reach out to Yonah and follow him, connect with him on LinkedIn.
There you go. Awesome. Thank you.
All right. Well, that's a wrap for this episode of Wealth Building Strategies podcast. Till next time.